Selamat Pagi dan good morning. This is Jackson Wehrli with another installment of the Selamat Pagi podcast. And today we are going to discuss my first week in Malaysia. This is November 8th through November 12th of the year 2017. Now, last we spoke, I had just landed in Singapore. And I got off the plane, and I walked through down to the immigration, and came out, and went to my mission president, who greeted me, along with two missionaries. And those missionaries were Elder Allred and Elder McCusker, and no one else was to be found. The Stevens, the senior couple, they were not to be found. Elder Crowell, Elder Pack, Sister Wong, they were all missing. And so we waited for them for like 30 minutes, and finally they came out, and they were like, "We were looking all over for you," which kind of upset President Simmons, because he would rather we all just came outside and let him deal with looking for me. But all was well, because I was there, and it all worked out. Excuse me. Now, we packed up our bags into a van. They took our bags back to the mission office, and we got on a bus and took the MRT into town. Now, I was paired with Elder Allred, because I was a Malay speaker, and Elder Crowell and Elder Pack, who were both Chinese speakers, were paired with Elder McCusker. And these were the assistants to the president. Now, I was standing on the bus, looking out at the road and the sidewalk, and thinking how clean it was, and how just clear it was. There no stains, no dirt, no rocks. It was very well kept. And this is just right outside the airport, the Changi airport. And I remember in that moment thinking, "Oh my gosh, this is actually happening. This is real." This is one of 3 times that this actually happened, where I actually felt like, "Oh my gosh, this is actually happening." And I really actually realized what was going on, that I was in another country serving a mission. Like, it was an incredible feeling that I hadn't ever felt, except for that one other time in the MTC and now. And so that was kind of cool. With Elder Allred, we walked around trying to find Malay speakers. Couldn't really find much, but we talked to a lot of people. They were just trying to get us into the swing of things, trying to get us to show us how to contact people, how to talk to people, giving us a little bit of the rules. Cool thing about Singapore, on an escalator going up or down, they stand on one side. And if you're going to walk, you go to the other side. So everyone on the left side of the escalator is standing, and everyone on the right side of this escalator is walking up. It makes it very efficient. You never have to wait on anyone. And that's the thing about Singapore. It's very efficient, very quick-paced, and you don't really get stuck. Very, very efficient, Singapore. And we talked to a bunch of people, and I learned that in Asia, they don't say live in context of where you are currently living. So, like, let's say I'm from America, but I live in Singapore. I don't say live, I say I stay. Or let's say I'm describing to someone where my apartment is. I would tell them, "Oh, I stay over on this street," not "I live over there," So that was kind of interesting. And there was one person that called us out for it and said, "Oh, you must be local Singaporeans because you say stay, you don't say live." And we explained to this person that we just appreciate the culture and we live it. And so to this day, I still ask people where they stay, and I tell them that I stay. I don't tell them that I live. It just sounds weird now. But, to each their own. Now, that was pretty much the rest of the day. Day 2, I was with an elder called Elder Hogan. And he had this thick lisp that just drove me nuts. But, it's not his fault. Not like he had any real power or control over it, and so I just bit my tongue, but it was difficult for me to like listen to him talk, and that's because I was a little bit self-centered, but that's okay. He was really, really kind and a hardworking missionary, and so I followed him around for that first day in Singapore. I believe he was in the Sembawang ward or Woodlands ward. I'm not sure where he was serving at the time. Um, I don't think Sembawang was a ward at the time. I think that happened with the boundary change, but I'm not sure. He was serving somewhere in Singapore at the time, and so we spent a day, and he took me around and looking here, looking there, right, talking to people. And then I found out that my companion, the next day, I found out that my companion would be Elder Ng. He would be my trainer. And that he was going to fly in because he's a local Singaporean. He only gets 30-day visas in Malaysia. And so he had to come back to Singapore every 30 days. And so he was actually coming in for a visa run and for a dentist appointment that very day. And so I met up with him. I was sitting in the mission office with the two office missionary couples, Sister and Elder Walker and Sister and Elder Cross, the four of whom are my heroes. Oh my goodness, I love them so much. They were such angels. Sister Cross was the nurse. Elder Cross dealt with all of our visas and all of our housing, and Elder Walker dealt with all of our financial stuff, and Sister Walker was just an angel, and they were all just amazing, and I loved them so much. I didn't see much of President Simmons, and Sister Simmons as well. Those two were just rock stars, and they were so friendly and so kind. I think that must be criteria to be a mission president wife. You just have to be one of the kindest people on the planet Earth. But I loved the Simmons very much, still do. And Elder Ng showed up in the mission office and picked me up, and he obviously did not want to be my companion. And he informed me that he was in his last two transfers, and training lasts two transfers. So he somehow he put two and two together that I was going to be his last companion, and he had trained more than any other missionary in the mission. He was constantly training new missionaries, and I think he wanted to be with someone more experienced, but the Lord wanted him to be with me. And so he wasn't rude, but he clearly did not want to be with me that first day anyway. And so because we didn't have much to do the rest of the day, he went to his dentist appointment, and we walked around the Orchard Mall, which was, I wrote down in my journal that it was huge. And the thing about Singapore is their malls are kind of just where everyone hangs out. There's a lot of them, and they'll be at the bottom of a large building, or they'll be in kind of a central place in Singapore, and they are massive. They are city-sized malls. I kid you not, and that's where everyone hangs out. The LRT stations, I'm sorry, the MRT stations. The MRT is like the train, the subway that goes through Singapore underground. But the MRT will take you right. Most MRT stops are like in a mall, and so it'll just open. The doors will open, and you'll just walk upstairs and be in the mall. Just incredible. And so we walked around the mall for the first little bit, and it was huge. Now, the next day when we were going to Malaysia, Elder Ng forgot his phone, and we had to actually we were on the MRT headed to the airport. We were doing our daily planning, and we realized that we left the phone in the mission home, so we had to go all the way back, order a taxi, and then go all the way to the airport to make sure we didn't miss our flight. We flew into Malaysia. I bought a bike, and then we went to Kampong Kude. My first area was in the city of Kuching, Sarawak. And Kuching is I would end up serving almost an entire year of my mission in Kuching total. And so I was in Kuching and I was serving in the Matang branch. And Matang is a little bit up north. It's kind of out of the way. And when I got my bike, we went to the house and we rode my bike down to Kampong Kude. And Kampong Kude is where we had my very first missionary discussion ever in Brother Aret's home. Brother Aret was a member, and he was actually the mission leader, the branch mission leader. And he had a nephew, or he was related to a couple of girls that were learning about the gospel. And so we were teaching them. Really, Elder Ng was teaching them. I was sitting there trying to understand what was going on. And we had another member there by the name of Begong Anak Simon, who was just a killer missionary member. He was just the most delightful character, very fun to be around, very kind to me as I was just getting started in the mission field. And then after Brother Aret's home, we went to Brother Sirai's home, who I have a lot of very fond memories of Brother Sirai. And in this moment, he introduced me to his family. They're speaking 1,000 miles an hour. The whole first transfer of my mission, I could not understand Brother Sirai. He spoke so fast, and he did what's called campur Iban. He would mix the language of Iban into Malay. And so I just did not understand Brother Sirai. But we had a lot of laughs together, and this was the first time I had met him, and it was incredible. On Sunday, the Matang Chapel was at this time in a shop lot, and so you'd go and unlock this big gate just in these shop lots, and you'd walk up these stairs, and the chapel was right there where you'd expect a store to be, maybe like a little stationery shop. And we don't really have shop lots in America, but think like outlet mall, but very, very compact. And there's these little shops just right next to each other along one strip, and then the church was just in one of these little shops just on the corner. And they had me get up and speak Malay my first day there, and it was frightening, and I messed up a couple of words, and everyone laughed, and it was funny, and it was a good time, but very memorable. And then on Sunday, we had a member appointment with a brother named Brother Dungat, who I will discuss more later. I'm kind of going quickly because I'm a little bit over time, but I will definitely be going more into detail about these people. But Brother Dungat, very, very kind old Iban man, and his family is incredible. And that would about wrap up my my first week in Malaysia. I was tired. I was fearless. I missed my family, but at the same time, not really that much. I was very, very excited to be there, and it all just worked out perfectly. And I could not have a better start to the mission experience. And that will wrap up this week's podcast of the Selamat Pagi podcast. Jumpa lagi.